And welcome back. We have been talking about the use of cocaine in this country. Quite extraordinary that this country is labelled as the second highest user in the world. I mean, if you think about that, that is perhaps a gong we don't really want. And I've been asking you, how do we change the drug laws? Do you want to change the drug laws? There's been quite an interesting discussion by legalising it. Some people, particularly one or two on my personal Twitter, sort of confusing marijuana with cocaine, but I forgive them. Is there room to change them? Is it more about policing or is it about public health? Anyway, someone who I know is very interested in this subject is the independent mayoral candidate for Greater Manchester, Nick Buckley, MBE. Nick, welcome.
Thank you very much. Well, it's nice to have two Nicks on the show.
Yeah, it is. Yes, I agree with Nick. Is the centre is I think? Oh, I don't know if people remember what that's about. Look, basically, it didn't shock me because I knew of the prevalence of cocaine. I think what I was very surprised at was we're the second highest user according to this OECD report. And hidden beneath that is a real tale. It's, you know, everyone's using it in every different walk of life, it seems. And there's that awful dark side, which is the gangs, what goes on in those gangs, the crime. Many of the knife crime we see often is linked to the ripple effect of what happens with these gangs. It's an extraordinary situation. And at the other end of the scale, you've got people in banks reluctant to do testing because they know an awful lot of their staff in the City of London are probably doing this stuff. I mean, first of all, should we be worried about the use of cocaine? Should we follow the example of a few countries where they've decriminalised it for personal use? What's your thoughts?
This is such a complicated topic to discuss, and we won't give it justice today with the time that's been allotted to us. The first question we need to ask is, why do we care? Because that then will give you the answer of how we tackle this. So do you care about this because individuals are ruining their lives by taking drugs? Do you care because criminals are shooting each other in the UK and killing each other and stabbing each other? Is that why you care? Do you care because the NHS has to pick up the aftermath of this? Or do you care because the countries that produce cocaine are slaughtering each other in the tens of thousands? So first of all, you've got to work out why you care, what part of it matters to you. So individuals taking cocaine, we drink alcohol. Alcohol's the most dangerous drug we have in the UK. You go to any A&E on a Friday, Saturday night, it's full of alcoholics. Half my family have died because they're alcoholics and related to alcohol itself. So what do we do about that? So drugs itself, most people don't understand drugs. It's a classification for hundreds of different types of chemicals that you can take in different ways. Our big issue in the UK really is it's linked to criminal organisations. They're making a fortune out of it. They're killing each other. Users are robbing each other and robbing us and our cars and our mums and breaking into houses. That's the real crux of it in the UK. What is the answer? Like I said, really complicated. Do we clamp down? I mean, we could get rid of drugs over several years in this country.
Well, could you? Let me just ask you a little bit about that. I was sick and tired, even by the time I went into Parliament, let alone when I left 5 years later, with the idea of the war on drugs. You know, you've got babies being born with heroin in them. You're hardly going to have a war on babies. It was cliched, it was dated, and it failed.
Oh, the war on drugs completely failed across the globe. We could get rid of drugs in our society, but what it would take to do that would make the authoritarian actions of our government over COVID, it'll make that look like a nursery. We can do it, but it would have to intrude in everyone's life in ways that we will find unacceptable. So can it be done? Yes. Would we want it to be done? I think the answer is no. So the next question is, what do we do about it? I'm against decriminalising it. Because it sounds fancy. Decriminalise it, that's wonderful. What that means is we give all the criminals a free pass. That's what decriminalisation means. What we should do is legalise it. Well, I'm not saying that I'm for legalisation. I'm not sure where I stand on this. But if you legalise it, we can get businesses involved. Many of the issues of taking drugs is overdoses, and people overdose by mistake because what they got last week and injected in their arms wasn't as strong as what they've picked up today and they're injecting it in their arms. But if you're buying it from a chemist with instructions about how much to take, then we get away from the deaths and the overdoses.
Well, do we? By the way, I think it's a really important debate to have, and honestly, I'm not sure where I stand on it particularly. I've certainly moved from being outright against any legalisation to this needs looking at. But would it? Because if you legalise it, even if you regulate the quality of the cocaine, if you know how much someone is taking, once they're hooked on this stuff, you've still got the risk of the mental health problems. You've got the attribution to heart problems that people are getting. We're effectively saying, you know, well, we're going to let you get ill, but we're going to tax you on the way to getting ill.
And that's exactly what we do with smoking and alcohol. So a couple of points there. The first point is you can get these drugs on any street corner anywhere in the UK. It's freely available. It's almost semi-legal as it is. Even cocaine, even crack cocaine, even heroin. You can buy it on any street corner. So having it illegal in this country does nothing anyway. So even if we legalised it, it wouldn't be more available because it's available everywhere now. The next point is, do we want the state and other people dictating what we do with our bodies? Because if we can do that with drugs, then we're already doing it now with sugar. We're taxing things heavily now for sugar, and the government eventually will ban trick-or-treating. We're banning smoking now for young people, so they'll never be able to buy cigarettes when they're adults. And after we've done that, the government's going to come for other things. Red meat. You're drinking too much alcohol. In fact, we're going to ban alcohol. So it's where does this stop? In a free society, we must allow free people in the society to make poor decisions. We have to. Otherwise, we're living in a dictatorship.
OK, but is it fair that someone who's making the poor decisions, Nick, the rest of us have to pick the bill up for? So, I don't want to take us down a route, but someone who goes out and gets blind drunk on a night and falls over, cracks their head or gets in a fight, we're picking up the bill for taking them to A&E and sorting them out. OK, something I don't like, and I think they should get a bill. Now, you're effectively saying we're going to expand that responsibility for people who will lose their sense of judgment through taking a drug, like alcohol, but in this case cocaine, and I'm meant to pick the consequences up for that through the bill. I don't like that idea.
We already do it.
I know, and I still don't like it.
Yeah, exactly. So we can have the same conversation about obese people, the drain on the NHS, picking up the bill for them. So in a society, the way we've set our society up, that's part of the course for many of our social services and government services. That already happens. For me, it's personal choice. We need to educate people. We need to educate people not to do it. But if they want to do it, who are we to dictate what they can do and can't do if all they're damaging is themselves?
But what about the lives they're damaging around them? I am sure, and it wouldn't surprise me if I had a call from someone in the family who's got someone who's addicted to drugs, crack cocaine particularly, perhaps, who will talk about the damage it's done to their lives, let alone seeing a loved one deteriorate. How can we legalise that? And
these are the questions we need answers to. We really need a national discussion on the drug issue. Absolutely. Because this is happening all the time. And like I said, we talk about alcohol and we've talked about cigarettes. They damage families. Gambling tears families apart when people go into debt. I've had family members steal off other family members to pay for drugs, to pay for gambling. And it does destroy families and individuals. There is no simple answers. I think that's what I'm trying to get across. There's no simple answers.
Let me ask you, as a candidate for a mayoral candidate in Greater Manchester, Nick, I don't know anything about the drug situation in Manchester, but is this something that is an issue, or is it just something of a personal interest to you?
Oh, it's an issue all over the country. I've spent 20 years working with rough sleepers on the streets. They're all taking heroin. And then we had a couple of years ago, we had an epidemic with spice. So for your audience who don't know, spice is a synthetic cannabis that you can smoke. And it was legal in this country until some middle-class kids started taking it and got ill or died.
Well, that's interesting, because middle class are pumping the cocaine like mad, aren't they?
They are, they are. But just let me finish your spice story, because it'll educate people. So we made it illegal. What happened then? The criminal gangs started selling spice.
Yeah, I agree.
And then we got a spice epidemic across the country. It wasn't a problem until we made it illegal. Now, that wasn't a perfect situation to begin with, but we keep creating laws, we keep tweaking our society thinking we understand, and we understand nothing. We have no understanding of the unintended consequences to our actions when we start messing with people's lives.
Listen, Nick, great to talk to you. Nick Buckley, MBE. He's the independent mayoral candidate for Greater Manchester. I kind of agree with Nick that we definitely need to be talking about drugs more. You cannot be the second largest consumer of cocaine and not think this is an issue that needs dealing with. Legalise it, public health campaigns, or crack down on it.
If you like that video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell and comment. And if you like what I'm saying about running for Mayor of Greater Manchester, then stick around. Tell your family, tell your friends. The only way I'm going to have a chance of winning is a grassroots movement. So be part of that movement and hit that bell. Thanks.